Grenada, are you ready for the biggest football showdown to kick off 2026? Our senior men's national team is back and they're going for 7 straight wins. Sunday, January 18th, Team Grenada takes on regional rivals Jamaica in a clash of titans at the Karani James Athletic Stadium. Kickoff 5 p.m. sharp. It's pride, power, and pure Caribbean football. Grenada versus Jamaica, a rivalry like no other. Can we make it 7 in a row? Come feel the energy, the passion, the fight. Tickets just $25 for adults, $10 for children. Kids under 10 enter free. Grab yours now at Heather's Boutique, Chucky's Bar, Grenadian Optical, or GFA's office. Tell your friends, bring the family, and let's pack the stadium. This is more than a match. This is Grenada versus Jamaica, and we want all of you to be in the stands. Sunday, January 18th at 5 p.m. Grenada versus Jamaica. One team, one goal.
If you thought 2025 was amazing, get ready, Grenada. GBN's Old Young Fest is back and bigger than ever. Join us on Saturday, the 31st of January at Pearl's Airstrip for a full day of food, culture, and fun. Watch competitors battle it out for the title of the best original oil down, the best seafood oil down, and the most festive display. Enjoy live calypso and a steel pan, children's activities, traditional ring games, and plenty vibes for the whole family. Gates open at 10 a.m. Don't miss the celebrations of Grenada's national dish, GBN Old Young Fest, where culture, flavor, and tradition comes together. See you on Saturday, January 31st at Pearl's Airstrip. And remember,
this coming Monday at 8:30 p.m., we'll be joined by Opposition Leader Emmeline Pear for an in-depth and timely conversation on matters of national importance. As Grenada looks ahead to the year 2026, this discussion promises insight, perspective, and accountability from one of the country's leading political voices. That's Beyond the Headlines, Monday night at 8:30 across GBN platforms.
Sound that's ever
say a hearty good morning to one and all. Welcome to The Point. It's Monday, the 12th day of January 2026. Welcome to our viewers via GBN TV. Also, those of you viewing by our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning and welcome. Thanks for, of course, taking the time out to tune into today's edition. Let me say good morning and welcome back to Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Is back with us this morning. Nice to have you back, sir.
Yes, GT, good morning to you, and it's really nice to be back. So, by extension, let me express happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
To the team, staff of the Grenada Broadcasting Network, and also to our ardent and very supportive followers and viewers and contributors to the success of this program. I want to wish everyone a very, very successful 2026 and beyond. And we look forward to greater things.
Certainly. You know, 2026 thus far is looking bright.
Yes, although there was somebody in your program who I listened to you. You said there was gloom and doom and stuff like that. We didn't want to go there. Yeah, I heard that. But yes,
I'm looking for brighter things for 2026.
Of course, absolutely.
So, you know, there's a saying that, you know, that I always hear my mom say that positive thoughts leads to positive prayers.
Oh yeah.
You understand? When you're thinking positive, you're actually praying in a positive way.
But you must not ignore the negative that exists.
No, you don't ignore it. But sometimes you give it minimal attention. Some folks
absolutely.
You give it minimal attention. The negatives will always come in between.
Yes.
You don't give it attention that will overpower the positive.
Because if you speak about the devil too much, you make the devil seem as though he's most important than
you have that interest in him. You understand?
Yes,
so
okay, good.
That's in the way I want to bring it across. So how you doing, sir? How you doing?
I am doing good. I'm grateful. I am blessed. And I just want to express my gratitude also to Mr. Richard McPhail, who I'm a member of the Safer Board of Directors, and he filled in, I think, adequately in my absence. There was one other member, Mr. Hector, who should have been. I think due to other pressing commitment, he did not come on. But as we go through and we speak about our plans for 2026, we realize that, yes, we'll be more engaging and there'll be other faces on.
We certainly appreciate that. Certainly will appreciate that whole lot. I mean, there's such a broader scope that we could do in terms of bringing information to individuals.
Yes.
You know, whether it's relative to situations that are occurring of a disaster nature, emergency nature, how we could be remedying these gaps, solutions we could offer, and so forth. And as 2026, of course, gets into full gear.
Yes.
You know, just 12 days.
And I think
pretty young still.
I think this program was coincidental when it came on.
Yeah.
It just that To the Point had that space on a Monday. It was almost open, and we decided with conversation and so on, we look at disaster preparedness, how we could have filled in on it, and now and then I would come in, and then Deceased Audit and others decided, you know what, let us have you a little bit more continuous on the program. Yes. And I think we are placed in a very good position, filling out from the weekend when there are issues like we would really do the weekend review.
Yeah.
And it gives us an opportunity for people to fit into a good educational, informative program that they can, in my opinion, it can set your week or it can break your week.
Yeah.
So I think if we have a good program, we are well placed at the top of the week. It sets the tone for a lot of things during the course of the week, and it helps people who are looking forward towards the day to start their week. Technically, the retirees who are home, they are looking for a new angle of discussion or contribution. I think our program is well placed, and I hope that GBN, even if I'm not personally there, that they would keep that kind of initiative to keep the nation informed. And if you look at our viewer page or pages on our followers and audience, you will see that we're growing.
Yes,
and in terms of we have a wide
certainly has grown
listening.
A whole lot.
Even in the diaspora.
Yeah.
I went out there and I met a few people in the diaspora. As a matter of fact, I went to one place in Toronto, and I walked into a place with a businessman, a gentleman, and as I walked in, he said, "Mr. McIntyre, I know you, but I don't know you." He said, "But I follow you on your program, and I want to really commend you," and so on.
Right,
and he said, "Oh, I see." And he said, "That is such a useful program." And sometimes we do not feel the impact of what we do, but we always have to be positive and be mindful, especially when you are in public space, that you are viewed or listened to globally, and that is important.
You know, no longer is the world isolated, or gone are the days when you're isolated to what you say in Grenada remains in Grenada.
Right.
You know, there was a couple of years ago when you say something is among your peers in Grenada who listen to you in Grenada, but now everything you say is now globally.
Yes.
You understand? And you'll be surprised, folks from around the world who are listening to you, and certainly could
fit into the conversation in terms of what you're speaking about.
Absolutely.
You understand? Because sometimes they are going through the same situation or situations that are taking place within the Caribbean, even though they may not be in our little neck of the woods. Now, through the internet and everything, it has drawn a lot of people a lot closer than before.
Yes.
Information could be sent instantly. Not like the snail mail and the days gone by.
Yes.
You know,
of course.
You would have sent someone a postcard for Christmas. They may get it in January.
Yes.
Or February sometimes. Now things could be done instantly.
Absolutely.
Instantly.
And we can reach so many persons. So let me just take the opportunity again to shout out the people in the diaspora who are really following us and who are supporting us generally. And our friends across. I have a new one from Ms. Burgess from Bermuda as well, following us on GBN and giving us our contribution to environmental protection and care and all of that. This is, something that is really critical. Our marine life and our eco protection and so on. Those issues are really critical. Right, so really want to say thank you across for your support. And nationally, I can't say how much I appreciate everyone who's expressed, their appreciation for the program. They call out GT every time. They call it Mr. Mac, and I know they call it Mr.
I do get those reviews myself from time to time. Sometimes I try to wear a cap going through town.
Yeah. Well, you are in public space, so no longer.
I sometimes try to wear a cap going through town. Well,
because your windscreen, your reflector on top of your head would always spot. You know that?
Sometimes, but I'm talking about physically walking through town. And try to wear a cap.
Yes. And when I say wear a cap, you're covered.
Yeah, just to cover the
reflector. The reflector that comes from your head.
Covered
your head shining, right?
Yeah, they always say the ball.
That's the light.
So I know. And they say, you the gentleman TV, nice program. We certainly enjoyed it. Or they may say, well, something I would like you to do or something I would like you to say. Sometimes they offer criticism or sometimes they offer you a positive contribution to what have taken place.
And part of what we are going to do, GT, because we're starting the year as well, we do not want to look and feel like the people who just giving, but we want to also receive. So we want people, some of the callers and the contributors to the program, we want you to always give us angles and ideas of some areas that we can touch. I heard you guys spoke of some areas with road safety and signage and everything else. We can't see all. We have the eye on the issues, but we want people and fillers, antennas from all over Grenada, Caracas, PT, Martinique to give us the information so we can amplify them for you. As I drove around Grenada, I returned a couple of days ago, and I drove around the country. I've seen quite a number of things that have changed. Some of those that we advocated for. Yes. I think we probably will touch on a little bit of them this morning. Some areas in traffic, some areas that are no parking, one entry and so forth. That bridge that we spoke about that was at risk, that was broken down, that has been repaired. Good. And quite a number of things have been fixed, and it is really, really commendable as we move just now into the flowers.
Into the flowers segment. But we drew for a first break. Let's take it, and then we come back and, of course, get into the meat of the conversation, I would say.
Absolutely.
Stay with us, folks. To the point. Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch it out.
This coming Monday at 8:30 p.m., we'll be joined by opposition leader Emmeline Pear for an in-depth and timely conversation on matters of national importance. As Grenada looks ahead to the year 2026, this discussion promises insight, perspective, and accountability from one of the country's leading political voices. That's Beyond the Headlines, Monday night at 8:30 across GBN platforms.
If you thought 2025 was amazing, get ready, Grenada. GBN's Old Young Fest is back and bigger than ever. Join us on Saturday, the 31st of January at Pearl's Airstrip for a full day of food, culture, and fun. Watch competitors battle it out for the title of the best original oil down, the best seafood oil down, and the most festive display. Enjoy live calypso and a steel pan, children's activities, traditional ring games, and plenty vibes for the whole family. Gates open at 10 a.m. Don't miss the celebrations of Grenada's national dish, GBN Old Young Fest, where culture, flavor, and tradition comes together. See you on Saturday, January 31st at Pearl's Airstrip. And remember,
Grenada, are you ready for the biggest football showdown to kick off 2026? Our senior men's national team is back, and they're going for 7 straight wins. Sunday, January 18th, Team Grenada takes on regional rivals Jamaica in a clash of titans at the Karani James Athletic Stadium. Kickoff 5 p.m. sharp. It's pride, power, and pure Caribbean football. Grenada versus Jamaica, a rivalry like no other. Can we make it 7 in a row? Come feel the energy, the passion, the fight. Tickets just $25 for adults, $10 for children. Kids under 10 enter free. Grab yours now at Heather's Boutique, Chucky's Bar, Grenadian Optical, or GFA's office. Tell your friends, bring the family, and let's pack the stadium. This is more than a match. This is Grenada versus Jamaica, and we want all of you to be in the stands. Sunday, January 18th at 5 p.m. Grenada versus Jamaica. One team, one goal.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back. So, Mike, I think you made to pull this microphone a little closer to you, make it easier.
I'll get a little closer to it.
Yep. So we're back. Right. So we're back. Welcome back once again, listeners and viewers. Mr. Mac, we did mention in this segment we want to talk a wee bit about the flowers you would like to give.
Of course.
And you said you have driven around the island since you returned, and you have seen a lot of things that you feel appreciative of seeing taking place.
Yes.
A lot of it has some of the repairs we would say, maybe have contributed to our speaking about it and making the individuals maybe in the of course in authority be aware that this thing needs to be attended to.
Right.
What are those things you want to mention this morning?
Well, one of the things that first jumped out of me after being out for actually about 3 months, I think I was out of state basically. The traffic situation is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And a couple days ago, I think about 2 weeks ago, about close to 600 vehicles, I think, landed on the island thereabout.
Again?
And we have some vehicles on here. So that will add to the amount of traffic that we have on island. And so it means that our traffic officers or police force, that whom we're going to give some flowers to, has to be commended, and they have to be on top of the game a bit more. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, though, that some of the things that we spoke about, it took so long before. And what I want to say here, though, is that we are a bit too reactive and we're playing catch-up too often. Despite the clamoring and the identifying of issues and so on, they take so long before somebody could really see them and address them. I think we should be better planners. We should be more insightful, and we should generate more vision in terms of where we want to go and plan ahead. Use models, and there are scientific instruments that can give us modeling, including traffic, as to where some things are likely to go and what things that we could implement.
We're talking about the day and age of technology, right?
Day and age of technology, and the day and age of electronic means of transferring information, putting lights and signage, etc. We think that we need to be able to move a bit faster where that is concerned. But I would really need to give them the flowers for the number of officers who are seen physically on streets. I think that we saw a huge influx over the Christmas, New Year's season, people on the street, and it filled out into early New Year, and that led in itself to the diverting of traffic, putting signs in the area. You look at the Montu, Grandlands Valley areas where they are using
off and stuff
coned off, and they're using no entry at particular times from one end to the other, and that is leading in it is a little bit longer, but it gives a continuous flow of the traffic, and that is commendable.
No parking signs
and
so forth.
One of the areas that we spoke about earlier, remember we spoke about close to the Smolaks bar in Springs Road, that's going on after by the SPs and so on. There were vehicles parking there from the business place, and there were vehicles parking low along the street, and that was creating a huge backup all the way into paddock.
Major obstruction.
And that was major instruction. We said, well, why can they not see that is something that you need to designate? And it came from the hills where we were saying that there should be designated parking hours in particular areas where at particular times of the night when the traffic is lower, it is okay, you live in an area, you can park. But by 5 a.m. or otherwise,
you have to get up and
and remove it. sometimes you have street cleaning, etc., where the trucks are passing or otherwise. They can't do that because these vehicles are in those areas. And I'm happy to see that there has been some adjustment to some of that. That is really commendable. They are putting more signs for some of the roadworks that are undertaken now, so people can understand what's ahead. And they are being placed at points where people are duly informed. However, what I've also seen is, in some places, the excessive use of signs. I remember one time we spoke about that in St. David's side, where there were, within 150-meter mark, there were 4 signs saying roundabout ahead. That is not necessary for an area that is so close. There was another place that I looked at when I came, and I saw about 6 signs within another 150, 200 meters saying that there is a road diversion or other things in that direction. Some things, I don't think it was a road direction. It is intended to be a permanent sign, actually. I did not take note of it. But the point I'm making here is that we have to be able to allocate and expend our resources more wisely. If something is not necessary, you do a ground tuting or a follow-up testing of what is there. You look at how you can spread a sign, especially how it can be most effective and the distance you can best use it. So while you're putting 4 in a short space, there are other areas that don't have any at all.
Should we blame the person who was assigned to erect those signs?
Not necessarily.
Maybe you just feel, well, I'm going to put it within that 100 yards area because I don't want to go 200 yards. I'm just suggesting.
Oh, yeah. I'm
looking at it that particular way. Maybe I was assigned to erect these signs, and I feel I could just use this particular area to do it. Way I could have gone a little further and come back.
But it could be either the person not doing as they were instructed or doing as they instructed, and the person who's instructing the person, they have not done the scientific follow through. Or
that could be another way.
On the other end, if they did not give that instruction, they're not doing follow-up and monitoring. I went to a particular place just about, and I remember you all spoke of signage and how they should be placed.
Yes.
And my other angle of disaster risk reduction in terms of identifying hazard areas and these things is an area that we really need to improve, where we designate areas, put proper signs and directions where certain hazards exist. Across Grenada, we're hoping that we can see more of that. But I went into a particular place a couple of days ago, and there was the name of the place where I went to. I was right at the gate.
Yeah.
But on the gate, there was a sign that was pointing straight down. So, me having been out for a little bit, I said, well, maybe they have changed the office and it is in that direction. So, I saw the sign and an arrow on the sign pointing straight down. So I drove further down and I asked somebody, I said, can you tell me where this particular office is at? And he said, it's up there. I said, I thought it was there, but I saw a sign and pointing down this direction. So he said, no, it is up there. So I took a really big laugh at it. I took a picture of the sign and I was saying, sometimes that's the kind of a challenge that visitors and other people would have when our signs are not put appropriately. That place where the sign was, if just the sign was there, it was just enough.
Yes.
You get there and you see the name of the place, you know, well, here I am. But if you see an arrow on the sign, it is indicating to you that you need to go further on.
I understand. Could have been the arrow if there's a gate or a door that is telling you come in. If the door
further on.
If it was open.
Yes, sir.
You need to go in this way.
Yes.
But if the door or the gate is closed and the arrow is going this way, you as an individual think, but I need to go
further on.
Go next door or go further down.
I need to go further on.
How you look at it from that point.
And the reason why I'm raising this is that sometimes you need to be more mindful of people that may have vision challenge, or there might be persons who are not very acquainted with particular areas and so on. Had I not known the area, I was not going to find it very easy technically.
I understand.
And when I got there, I even run past it a little bit. So I want to just break here a little bit in terms of the little bit of flowers. I thought I wanted to give that in terms of the arrangements I've seen around, in terms of the traffic regulations and management. I think despite the challenges of the roadworks taking place across country, but I think the authority has to be commended in terms of being able to maneuver and ensure that those situations are addressed.
All right. I mean, you give some flowers to the police and so forth, or who folks responsible for traffic, but it was not managed nicely this morning.
Well, I think it may have something to do with...
I understand the reason why
I think they opened it for Law Week.
Law Week.
And all of the traffic inflow. But it did give information on the radio this morning, you know.
I understand, but
saying that expect those kind of traffic adjustments because they're closing some areas.
But I think still it could have been managed better.
You mean more cops on the street?
On the street, in terms of helping to assist the moving of the traffic a wee bit. Because you know, sometimes not everybody may listen to maybe to classic radio or individuals giving all that information.
Yeah.
They could have individuals using that road this morning had no clue that whatever is occurring this morning is taking place.
Yes. And so while I would wish to agree with you that better could have been done about it, we have to go back, and I'm sure that you will agree with me even before I say it, that we must be a more listening, we must be a more alert public to information, even that's given out from GBN a bit more. We want people, I think people should get more used to tuning into information. I listened to Sergeant Troy Paul this morning speaking about traffic in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Matinic. But as he spoke about Petit Matinic, I wonder if we have traffic congestion in Petit Matinic too. So maybe we could look at follow-up on that as well, because there was one time the dumpers were used in Petit Matinic. So maybe we could find out now as the traffic situation increases.
What does the traffic like?
What does the traffic look like? And it feels like a smileable situation or otherwise or light. But I think it's something we can give an update on as well, even in Petit Matinic, moving towards the jetty and the because they do have a few vehicles on island now as well. How that has been managed. So
I'm trying to picture a traffic jam in Petit Matinic. I'm trying to.
You're expanding this thing a little bit. But he did speak of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Matinic, and I understand that. So it's sometimes good to give an overview, maybe in some way, as to how all these things are affecting us across country. But it's all good, basically.
Right. You know, but sometimes we just have to talk about it, because sometimes some things could be managed differently.
Of course.
Everybody would like that ease of life. You don't always get it, but you always would like to have an ease of life in terms of how things are done.
And there's much, much more we can do where that is concerned in terms of making that happen.
I want to thank you for expressing those flowers this morning and so much. So you were in Jamaica. We learned of of course, the situation with the hurricane in Jamaica.
Yes.
It may take us an entire program to maybe for you to express everything that occurred or what you saw there. Give us something brief and what you may have learned. I mean, not only learned, there's always a learning process, everything that comes. Even though of your experience being around numerous locations and when incidents of this nature occurred, but what had you learned Jamaica that came across a little bit different for you from previous years and other situations that may occur, inclusive of Grenada's situation with Hurricane Beryl and so forth?
Quite a bit. So first, let me express my appreciation to Carriacou, who first made the request. I was out in North America, and I had the request from Carriacou after Jamaica was hit by an extra Category 5 hurricane, because it was beyond what in Category 5 would have been in terms of wind speed, etc. It got up to 200 plus miles per hour. That's how far it is. And a Category 5 actually is 155 miles plus. So they've not yet delegate or identify what they would be, whether it would be a Category 6, 7, or 8. But there is some level of consideration for that to happen.
Okay.
And so when I was called, I did have the encouragement from Grenadians living in the diaspora outside of Grenada telling me, they're really happy that my expertise was requested to be outside through Carriacou to lend that kind of a support. And I use every opportunity not to elevate me as an individual, but basically to showcase that Grenada is relevant. We can give our support being a small island, as people refer to as a dot on the map, but the mere fact that we could be requested in that capacity to be able to help an island as big as Jamaica, it is really, really a big thing, in my opinion, that we were able to make a meaningful, from the report from all ends, meaningful contribution towards the resuscitation, the recovery of the situation that Jamaica went to. And as a matter of fact, every time I look at a situation, I try to get lessons learned and to implement in Grenada. As a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, I met the National Disaster Coordinator, Dr. Terence Walters. We had an official conversation. I did say to him that there are some things that we probably need to discuss down the road in terms of lessons learned from that situation, because it's the worst tropical cyclone hurricane that the region has actually seen or experienced. The NOAA has indicated as one of the worst they've seen in the Caribbean and North Atlantic area, and its landfall in itself made significant historic devastation. And all aspects of what or the hazards that a hurricane carried, Hurricane Melissa carried that with her. There was coastal erosion, coastal degradation, there was destruction, environmental degradation, there were the interior that had water tables and canals and streams and so on relocated, rediverted, some of them totally lost off track. The forested area and so on, there were trees that were taken down that were there for centuries old, basically, and it affected quite a bit of the entire ecosystem, and the topography of the land itself may shift in that part of the island, the west end of the island, basically affecting 6 of the 14 parishes that Jamaica has. And that in itself brought about a response throughout across the globe, basically. And there were just over 100 entities that responded over there in the situation. Dr. Walters himself from Grenada passed through actually for one day, but I actually spent an entire month, and there were other Grenadians, there were doctors, there were a couple of nurses and so on. There were some, I know, volunteers from Caritas from Grenada who were there as well. So Grenada did have a presence. But out of all of this discussion and that conversation that we're having, what have we taken back and what will we really take back? It is often said that when your neighbor's house is on fire, you actually need to wet yours. And I always, as I said, look for the opportunities. What I can bring back to Grenada, what could we do differently? And one of the things that was so greatly exposed was the community resilience. And they lost almost total communication in the areas that were decimated. There was limited or no communication most of the time, if not sometimes 100% of the time. And so that produced a challenge. The community district structure, it crumbled under the magnitude of what happened. And so in terms of what needed to have happened in terms of national coordination, it created a monumentous challenge for the central system to actually communicate and manage things on the outside. There was a disconnect quite a bit from the central operating entity to what was happening on the ground. It is saying to us in our system in Grenada how we are structured, and I'm happy to say that my understanding, very credible, that the state is moving towards statutorizing the national disaster entity, and so we're hoping that that will lend itself to strengthening our community resilience, because across the Caribbean that is one of the weaker entities that we've seen. Our community resilience, the capacities that they have, the management system and structure, it leaves a bit to be desired. And oftentimes because they are solely dependent on volunteer effort and people to just come and give up their time, it seems in most cases it is not so structured, not so organized. That leads to a lot of setbacks and to a bit of delay in terms of how the response and the recovery process could undertake. And in a nutshell, that's one of the things I would want to see us do in Grenada. Be able to decentralize disaster management across our parishes and community. Empower some people within our communities with certain responsibility and trust them with certain things that in the event that we get cut out, which is not impossible for us, that sustenance could be guaranteed over at least a 7-day period of time. Even if communication is totally lost, we should be of the confidence based on the resources that we have at our districts and community level that people are able to maintain themselves over a given period of time. And the resilience of our structures for even managing the system. In some cases, there were no places that were purpose-built to ensure that coordination could have taken place. So when you have those structures being destroyed or damaged and so forth, and your entity cannot find a fixed, stable place from which to function, it gives you a bit of challenge. Over the years, we've seen Grenada improved, where we have a national disaster headquarters, where there's a proper building that is resilient even to certain levels of earthquake. It may be able to resist it. it, and some levels of tropical cyclone. Across country, there are 1 or 2 that are also built that offer some level of resilience. But that we're hoping that it could be increased, and that shelters and facilities identified for shelters, they could be properly built and retrofitted to a particular standard, and there are engineering standards through COSQ or otherwise our local building code that speaks of how you can build facilities to withstand beyond category 5 hurricanes and up to 5-6 levels of on the Richter scale for earthquakes, how they can be a bit more resilient to these and less loss of lives could happen. Albeit, despite how serious that hurricane was, we did have, when I left, 45 persons confirmed as having lost their lives directly as a result of the hurricane. But because of the experience that I brought into theater, I had to have reassured them of the psychosocial fallout. I made a very prominent presentation before I left in terms of how do we go on, or how do you go on to care for those who are traumatically affected. Because we've seen, the record has shown that more people die in the post situation than during the actual. And so and when I made that statement, and they, there were presentations that were made, and I told them I was not hearing how the psychosocial intervention was prominent. And they were saying to me, look, they trained a number of persons, and all this, and I said, what we need to see is the tracking and the signs and symptoms of persons who may be having PSTDs. How are you tracking those persons, and what the records are indicating? And when I did speak to, I think it was the CM or somebody senior in the medical field, I said to them, you need to be able to produce statistics, records and numbers that you track those, that you don't lose people, and there is a system of follow-up, and they appreciated that. And it is one of the things here that after Hurricane Ivan that we really strongly built in terms of the PSTDs and finding the briefing sessions, and I've seen Grenada implemented that very effectively after Beryl and Carriacou and PT Martinique. So true. And
they were limited. I mean, not we were saying that there weren't any, but it was on a limited capacity in terms of that after effect of it. That fell upon people.
Yes.
Feeling that trauma still against them. Yes. It was sort of limited. There was not much conversation, except for who may have lost their homes and was feeling traumatized by having to have it rebuilt.
Yes.
And maybe the slow process of having it done. Everyone's going to feel that is understandable. Yes. But folks losing their lives after it was pretty limited, I would have said.
In Grenada's situation. Yeah, but there were a couple, I think it actually, the loss of life for Hurricane Beryl was minimal. I think there were 2 directly related deaths. Yeah. But it was more in the post. Because my understanding, there were over 4 persons who may have died as a result of having had post situations that would have deteriorated the conditions and so on. So even if it was greater, it is still. And it's something that we need to be able to work on a bit more. Have our debriefing, our counseling, or psychosocial intervention a bit more prominent. There are instruments that are written, and when in peacetime, and I'm sure Mr. Antoine, one of my colleagues who normally contribute to the program, will speak about that, how you really have instruments that would guide that process. When something kicking, it becomes a 1, 2, 3. And I said I was happy to see how that process played out in Melissa, in Carriacou. I did.
I mean, in Jamaica.
In Melissa, not Beryl in Grenada. Beryl in Grenada, in Melissa in Jamaica.
Yes.
There was a lot to be desired of that aspect of it in Jamaica. But I'm saying for the Beryl in Grenada, that process, I was very happy the couple of days immediately after, while I was in Carriacou, that the Ministry of Social Services and otherwise, they were very prominent and they kept the process going for a while.
Understandable.
That is what I want to comment. And I said it's something that we can build on. I saw this played out in Grenada better than it did in Jamaica.
Okay.
And it had to be in a lot of cases where Jamaica has not had that situation as bad as this for decades.
I want to ask you this, just get your perspective on this. You spoke of course, we know in Jamaica the level of development that they do have.
Yes.
You understand? And you spoke of the breakdown after in terms of communication and so forth, in terms of within the communities and so forth, in terms of the management structure.
Yes.
How important did that felt to you, seeing a developed country of that nature and to lose that level of communication? How worrying was that for you in terms of understanding where that comes from?
Well, it was worrying for me as it was for Grenada in 2024 when Beryl did strike us, because I couldn't believe after Hurricane Ivan 204 that we were going to see a repeat of that in 2024 where we lost total communication. And the reality of the situation is that no two hazards they give you exactly the same response. And mind you, having spoken of Jamaica, if you travel to Jamaica a few hours after Hurricane Melissa, you could not have told that Jamaica, in essence, had an impact so serious. The reason being, Kingston, the main hub, and to an extent, Mobe, the airports were open within days after the hurricane. Now, if you flew into Kingston, you could not have figured that Jamaica had such a serious impact. And it is to tell you the extent, the magnitude at which it impacted that western end of the island, and it did not for the other aspect, and life felt as normal. What I want to put on record, though, is that Jamaica has to be commended despite what experience they may have felt in the areas that were most seriously affected. They had a structure and a system that was overwhelmed. They were able to rebound and to resist and to build and put the capacity very quickly. And the amount of capacity that they had on country, it was sufficient technically to resuscitate and get them back into a running gear faster than they would have done to most countries. So that was commendable. As a matter of fact, some of the resources that are normally sourced from outside of the region or within the region for other countries when there's an impact, Jamaica had a lot of those resources in country. So what we had to have done was to be able to give them the support, moral, psychological, and otherwise, to help them to prop the system and get it running and to consolidate it. And that was commendable to see how they rallied around the situation. They came through this. Never have seen one as bad as this one did, but they were able to put the structures together. But as I said before, there are always weaknesses in systems and structures that regardless of how big a country you are, first world, second world, or otherwise, some things will give you a challenge. I remember I went to Louisiana State University and did some of my training. But I think it was 2004, 2005 when Katrina, I think it was 2005 when Katrina struck. All of the resources that we were exposed to in training, they came to naught. And a lot was left to be desired for our first world country. And it seems...
I can remember that a whole lot too. It was actually the time, and I remember that.
Yes, of course. So when those things happen, it exposes something that sometimes you have not seen. What one needs to do, like we're doing now, is to take the experience of that situation and to build better for the future and stronger. And where they are now, I wish to report that Jamaica is rolling out, and they are going to... It will take them 4 to 5 years to get back to full capacity, basically. But at the pace they're going, they are getting back to a sense of very real normalcy. But the reality is that there are some things like the electricity and putting back the poles and some of the utilities. It will just take the time it needs to take based on the resources and what is required based on the magnitude that has happened.
We're due for a break, Mr. McIntyre. Let's take that break. We come back into our final segment of the conversation. Stay with us, folks. Don't touch it out. We will be right back. Stay with us.
Yo, my beautiful people, it's all about Oil Down Fest going down on Saturday, January 31st. And right now, this is a special invite for you. You know you could cook. You know somebody that could cook. You have an auntie that could cook. You have a granny that could cook. You have a brother or sister, anybody you know that could cook. Or you could cook. You can register today. You can register right now. It's Oil Down Fest. I'm telling you, January 31st, you don't want to miss it. You know you're bad on our Oil Down, so register and come and win some prizes. I'll see you there. Yeah.
Grenada. Are you ready for the biggest football showdown to kick off 2026? Our senior men's national team is back, and they're going for 7 straight wins. Sunday, January 18th, Team Grenada takes on regional rivals Jamaica in a clash of titans at the Karani James Athletic Stadium. Kickoff 5 p.m. sharp. It's pride, power, and pure Caribbean football. Grenada versus Jamaica, a rivalry like no other. Can we make it 7 in a row? Come feel the energy, the passion, the fight. Tickets just $25 for adults, $10 for children. Kids under 10 enter free. Grab yours now at Heather's Boutique, Chucky's Bar, Grenadian Optical, or GFA's office. Tell your friends, bring the family, and let's pack the stadium. This is more than a match. This is Grenada versus Jamaica, and we want all of you to be in the stands. Sunday, January 18th at 5 p.m. Grenada versus Jamaica. One team, one goal.
This coming Monday at 8:30 p.m., we'll be joined by opposition leader Emmeline Pear for an in-depth and timely conversation on matters of national importance. As Grenada looks ahead to the year 2026, this discussion promises insight, perspective, and accountability from one of the country's leading political voices. That's Beyond the Headlines, Monday night at 8:30 across GBN platforms.
To 4 p.m.
Again, it's To The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. So, Mark, welcome back. Of course, folks, if you saw us having that little off-air conversation there. Mr. Mark, I want to touch a wee bit on the Safer, of course, that organization there. How are things going for 2026? And what are some of the major plans? And, of course, we also invite our listeners, if you do have a question or two, or you just want to join the conversation, feel free to do that in this segment.
Yes. Safer is the Asha McIntyre Safety Foundation for Roads. We can say that despite most of last year, we have not been very visible in some initiative, but we have been working behind the scenes. Yeah. And so, coincidentally, my son's birthday is tomorrow, the 13th, the one who was killed. And March 6th of 2026 will mark 3 years since his unfortunate passing.
Time flies, eh? Time flies.
And so we are in a stronger position, and for this year, 2026, we do have an agenda for 2026. That includes one, recognition of the 6th of March as Road Safety Day. Okay. As a matter of fact, there are some initiatives that we're going to announce that will happen on that day. I do have at least one strong sponsor on board who is going to work along with our company, our foundation to ensure that the whole aspect, in collaboration with the Royal Grenada Police Force, the whole aspect of road safety would be more amplified throughout. We are looking at some of our stronger educational initiatives to take place this year, including some sponsored programs to include involvement of our youth on social media or otherwise. Quiz aspects of it would be part of it, where we would get and target a particular age group where they will be expected to answer particular questions. We believe by this initiative we can culture a new information era where people become more conscious of the law and aspects of road safety. So using one of those mediums through social media, through the radio, or another, that involves them, where some small incentives would be offered to be part of it, is one of the initiatives that we would want to drive. In this year, last year we did not get any signage up where our prominence would have shown in terms of what we were doing physically. This year we are intending to have a few signs up, because that has been one of the initiatives. As a matter of fact, I have had the assurance of a partner within the diaspora who wishes to collaborate in getting some of those signage to Grenada. All we need to do, we're hoping that we'll form that closer relationship with the road and works that are responsible for road and road signs, etc., along with the police, so that we can have those signs enhanced. I've also looked at, in some of the countries that are being, some of the information that they're putting out relative to road safety, and I think some of those you can use to model to be able to enhance road safety across our country, including some of the electronic means.
Okay.
So we do have a slew of programs. My presence, as I promised, even in last year, to be less. Because of certain situations, I had to be on a bit more. My face had to be more on radio and television. I'd prefer to be digging in more into some other areas, and we'd bring on other experts to be on our programs with you, JT, to be able to drive and build the initiative of road safety across Grenada. We think that it is useful, it is overdue, it is relevant for a time like this, and we would want to be able to, continue to make that contribution towards Grenada's road safety.
Great. Because, as we get into an area in Grenada where information as relates to road safety needs to be pounded a whole lot more than before.
Of course.
You understand? I mean, we do our part here on Mondays, but there's so much more that could be done.
That can be done.
It still is in a limited capacity, anyhow you take it, even from the authorities' point of view.
Yes.
You understand? It still is limited, and I think a lot more could be done. A lot is said, but sometimes in my opinion, sometimes the information is not getting to the individual who should really adhere to that information a whole lot.
Right.
You understand? Good. Especially the younger drivers who prefer to maybe have their own personal, music listening to.
Yes.
Than listening to conversation of this nature.
Yes.
You understand? We have to find some way of, if they're driving along, they may see that sign that says, hey, slow down, buckle up, all these things, saying to them, they may pay attention to it more than just maybe if they don't want to listen to the radio or to watch the television. Yes. Sometimes you speak to a lot of younger folks, say, I don't watch the news. I'm sure you hear that from time to time yourself.
Yeah.
I don't listen to radio for various reasons.
Yes.
You understand?
So we'll try to reach them where they are. One of the things one of the initiatives we started a couple of years ago, and that is running really quickly, 2 years, where we came out and we started giving a gift for Christmas, and that was teaching CPR.
Yes.
We did some bus drivers, we did some conductors, we did a few people, and that initiative has played out. We've had responses where people actually had to use the skills that we impacted to them. We want to increase on that, and let me use the opportunity here to make an appeal for any person who wishes to support us in that initiative. We are now in need of at least 2 mannequins, those that can be electronically activated, where they can show whether you are compressing properly. 2 adults and maybe 2 infants would suffice for us. So anybody within this reach, they can reach out to the GBN if they wish, or to me directly, and say we wish to make a contribution of a mannequin or any financial contribution towards the purchasing of that, where we can extend and empower people more across our country. Okay. Those we have been deteriorating, and so would like to replace them. So that is again an appeal for anyone who wishing to provide mannequins to us to help in getting CPR across the country to people who we know can use this skill to save and protect lives.
All right, great. So in this segment, folks, we're going to offer the opportunity to our listeners and viewers, if you do want to make a contribution to watch today's program. We still have a couple of minutes before we wrap. Let's go to our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning, and thanks for your patience. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, GT, and morning, Mr. McIntyre, and also thank you, Mr. McIntyre, for recognizing the contributions I make.
Yes, sir.
But before I make my contribution, let me say we have to aim at developing a culture of lifelong learning and lifelong learners. There's a strange idea in Grenada that learning only takes place in a classroom. Right. We need to learn, continue. Everybody, politicians, priests, teachers, everybody need to learn and learn what is important. In this case, I remember, Mr. McIntyre, one of your first program, I mentioned the Sendai Agreement. I think we should really center the Sendai Agreement as part of the instrument that we use to help us in preparing and also in responding later on. What you said about Jamaica is a lot truthful. In fact, because of my connection, I've heard some of those statements, but also what was said is that Jamaica have a lot of policies, they have a lot of programs, a lot of things, but it's not implemented. So, for instance, in terms of material, resources, and so on, it was discovered that the area that was badly hit, there was no thought about that area having things there. So when people say we had stored up this and we had stored up, it was not in the area. So that was one of the feeling. And also people having connection with people on the ground. I keep saying, and I'll stop here, that we need to take a community development, the community-led development approach to what we're doing in Grenada. Otherwise, things would happen and there would be chaos, there would be mayhem and so on, because if people don't learn to live together and work together, practicing that on a daily basis as much as possible, when you have those disasters, all kind of the wildest thing in us will come out. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a whole lot. We do have another caller. Caller, you may have to turn whatever device you have on in the background. Do that for me, please. I give you a few seconds after done. You're live, caller. So, sorry, we may not be able to accommodate you. You may have to have your device turned off, and then we will entertain the call. 435-2041. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. McIntyre.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You know, I followed the hurricane in Jamaica, and I saw the U.S. government did a wonderful job in national relief. And I don't know if you saw that. The U.S. government was giving us some political stuff. But I also work with a guy in Jamaica named Paul, the local YouTuber. And I want to highlight the role that YouTubers play after hurricane. They can go into the communities and really show the world what is going on in the areas where the government may not go. And by that now they can raise funds and help in the community directly. So in this country, I don't think we have much YouTubers. But I think that is an area where we could push. Because Colors TV, up to today, he's not released right now that people donate to it. I'm saying that we in Grenada here, we're talking about spending over 100 cases of water and 100 cases of this. And this man is going to buy 300 cases of water in Jamaica from money that people give him. I'm just saying that YouTubers play a big role after hurricane or during any event. We need to promote that in our country and promote our YouTubers so they can get big and they can be exposed to the world and they can do things so they can help people in the area after hurricane. It's very important.
Yeah. So the intervention that caller has made is very useful. It just reiterates the need for us to be innovative and to use means of any form of communication. As a matter of fact, in 2024, when we were up at which was it at Manjalu?
Yeah.
Prime Minister were there. We were huddled all as a group together having discussion, and we lost total communication with Carriacou. And the first means of communication we got was an informal means.
Yes.
And then we started to build from there to respond to what was happening in Carriacou. So it says that, caller, yes, we need to open up our avenues, and I think NADMA is taking note of that. Whatever means of communication that one can get to speak to the situation. I want to remind people as well that regardless of what support you want to provide, it has to be coordinated. So it should not be done in isolation. You must always plug in with what is the central mechanism for coordination. You will be duplicating your effort, or you may be double dipping in some instances if the coordination does not go through that central mechanism.
All right. I know some folks, what they want to do is always deemed genuine at the time. But sometimes it could be hazardous to other means that want to get it done, especially the folks within authority.
Yes.
You know, you may think, I could do this and I could do that.
Yes.
But then when you do that without the proper coordination, problems develop.
And we've seen that a lot of times in Jamaica, where every time somebody went in, nobody saw anybody before that.
Yeah.
The reason being, opportunity may grab. When people see things, they grab on it. And so if you do not really contact the central coordinating mechanism to figure out, well, where best should I go, or what's the needed thing in those particular areas, you'd find that you'll be serving and you'll be counting all of the thousands of things that you're serving, but sometimes it really does not really meet the final objective.
So true. Yeah. We do have another caller. Caller live. Good morning. Welcome.
Right. Thank you very much, and pleasant good morning to one and all. Mr. McIntyre, thank you very much. I have spoken about the trucks blowing the loads on and I specified areas, and to me it has gotten worse.
Wow.
On the other hand, the burial relief program, well, I heard you talk about Jamaica, but the burial relief program, I'm still here suffering. I am one leg, and it's through farming, a coal pit, I lost my foot. And I am still interested in doing farming. I heard Minister, Prime Minister, and these people talking much about food security. I'm wondering if they are real jokers or if they are serious people, because the true road that leads from Marquis to Post Royal, where my lands are located, right about now I can't go and pick my cocoa. I have 1 acre of land there that it produces over 500 pounds of cocoa annually, and right now
we lost him.
Yeah, we seem to have lost the caller there for various reasons. Could be that lost credit on us.
I wonder if the caller has ever contacted one of the agricultural or the state entities in terms of ensuring what his condition is really like.
I'm not sure. Not sure. We do have another caller. Caller line. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Mr. McIntyre. Good morning, Gigi. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning to you.
Mr. McIntyre, I hope that when they do Granance Road, the government could use you to help them to do bus stops, real bus stops this time, you know? Use it to where you could tell them where your bus stop should be and where bus stops should be, because as you was a whole superintendent before, you might have a good idea. Because them buses stopping anyway, anytime, they don't care about nobody. And we want that to put things in place, that police will be doing a walk-in and charge them, because you could make a lot of money from that. You understand? So I would like, when the roads finish and they do it properly, we go put bus stop. Because if the government bring in buses, they must use the bus stop. The big buses will have to use the bus stops. So I hope that's going to happen, and I hope they're going to use it for that. Thank you very much. Welcome back, Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course, gentleman is assigning a job to you.
I realize. Yes, there are some people's expectations and so on. Yeah.
Mr. Mac, I think we get to that time of the morning. We're going to take a wrap for today. Yeah. I'll, of course, welcome you back once again. And, of course, next week we get more into the conversation as time draws near. And we certainly, in terms of the AMSA organization of folks, share more information in terms of your plan on a weekly basis, what your plan's going to do. And certainly hope we see the growth that you would like to see that takes place. And more folks get involved.
Yes.
That's one of the key factors.
Exactly. That's what's going to be here. How more people can be part of the process. And especially building the youth into the next generation of people who will take the next step in keeping Grenada safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Thanks once again, sir.
You're welcome.
All the best.
My pleasure.
Hey, folks, that's where we'll take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Thank all who contributed, those who sat at home and listened. We thank you so much. Best wishes for the rest of the day. That's what we say goodbye.